Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally drawing near because Diablo 4's launch day is just around the corner. But before you embark on this epic journey, it's crucial to choose the right character class for you. Today, we're going to be going over the Druid's biggest class features, its strengths and weaknesses, the Druid's unique class mechanic, as well as displaying a brief skills showcase of the class's abilities, the awesome transmog and appearance options, some effective gameplay builds to get you started come launch day, and the legendary effects of the Druid's Paragon board and amazing unique items to give you a great sense of multiple gameplay styles. I hope you all are ready because today we're looking at the Druid's final look in Diablo 4 to get you ready for launch day. Druids are an extremely versatile class with many ways to play them. Unlike the Druid in Diablo 2, the Diablo 4 Druid is very fluid. You can pick both wolf and bear forms, switching seamlessly between every form, as well as combining the elemental forces of wind, earth, and air to have the answer to almost every encounter. Druid's resource is the spirit resource. It works as your basic builder and spender resource. Basic skills grant spirit, and your core skills spend them to release devastating attacks. It's very similar to the Barbarian's Fury mechanic, but your spirit doesn't degenerate over time. Moving on to the strengths and weaknesses of the Druid's versatility is unmatched when it comes to the massive amount of gameplay styles they could play. Whether it be through a werebear, a werewolf, or a caster, or a mix of everything, there's a playstyle for everyone. The Druid is also very good at survivability. They have a wide variety of defensives in their toolkit to keep them alive, up, and running. They also hold a variety of crowd control effects such as stuns and roots, as well as a lot of debuffs and buffs for group play. Now with the weaknesses, the Druid just simply doesn't deal as much damage as some of the stronger DPS classes out there like the Sorcerer or Rogue. The class is very slow to start off and ends up being very strong late game, and the Druid lacks mobility with their only real distance closer being Trample. Moving on to the unique class mechanic of the Druid is going to be the Druid's Animal Bonds system. As you progress through the levels, you acquire passive animal buffs, and once you have 4 passive animal buffs, you can select a unique 5th one. As you can see on the screen, there are plenty of passives to choose from, catering to a wide variety of builds. This wasn't unlocked and tested in beta, so we're going to see how it completely works in the launch of the game, so expect some of these numbers to be tuned. Alright, now ladies and gentlemen, to give you a better sense of gameplay, we're going to show you some of the best Druid builds that were tested out in all 3 beta weekends, to give you a couple of the highest rated options for you to play come launch day. Now of course, there are other options out there when it comes to builds. This is just to get you started if you want something quick, easy, and effective. Starting off, we have the Shapeshifting builds. After leveling the Druid countless times over all 3 beta weekends, by far the easiest and some of the most effective builds are going to be your very basic werebear as well as werewolf builds. If your primary focus is werebear, your overall damage might be a bit lower than the other classes, but it definitely makes up for it by being practically unkillable. No matter what the encounter is, you are very tanky if you're running a werebear build setup, and most of your damage is going to be coming from your overpowered pulverizes, which is absolutely going to plow through most mobs for you. And to make up damage when your pulverize isn't being overpowered, you're going to have a couple companion skills like the Poison Creeper and the Wolves to back you up. The same concept goes for the werewolf build, but instead of being nearly unkillable, you are going to have way more damage with this setup. You have loads of damage from your core skill Shred, as well as having multiple companion skills and rabies to spread poison across enemies and to be able to deal immense single target pressure to bosses. You will be tanky with debilitating roar, and your werewolf self-healing is going to be great, as well as having legendary aspects down the line to keep you up and running. Either way, both of these builds are very straightforward and incredibly effective for leveling and can definitely be used no matter what stage of the game you are in. Moving along now to the companion-based builds. And the first beta weekend, companions were absolutely awful all around for the Druid. Blizzard noticed, and these abilities got significant buffs, increasing damage all across the board for all of them. This finally allows you to play a companion-based build on a Druid, and it was my favorite choice in the final testing beta. It was incredibly effective in the damage department, and the best thing about this build is that your basic and core skills can be pretty much whatever skills you would actually prefer them to be. Because the highlight of this build is going to be your companions, there are tons of abilities and skills along the tree to increase your companion damage, so you have a very high flexibility in your other 3 skills. I do recommend at least picking up a defensive ability to at least help with the survivability of your character overall. All in all though, if you get some legendary aspects for your wolves, as well as get deep enough into the Druid class mechanic, I see this build absolutely stomping most content and allowing you to move very quickly through leveling in the mid to late game. You have your Poison Creeper to root enemies, your Ravens to make them all vulnerable, and then your Wolves to deal the knockout blow in single target encounters. If you like nature and animals, and you're looking for a companion-based build, this can definitely be a good mix-up if you don't want to play the Necromancer. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Paragon board is a feature that unlocks at level 50 and is going to be a very major part of Diablo 4's endgame. You get 4 Paragon points each time you level up past level 50, and you can spend them on tiles to further progress your character. Tile benefits range from minor stat boost increases all the way up to becoming complete build enhancers. There are also gateway nodes, which are placed at the edge of the boards, which you can then attach brand new boards to and further progress through those as well. Quick disclaimer, obviously all these stats and minor details are subject to change, so take the exact numbers and percentages with a grain of salt. Moving along now to the Druid Paragon board legendaries. Starting off, you have Thunderstruck. Storm skills deal 30% increased critical strike damage against vulnerable or immobilized enemies. This board's primary focus is on critical strike, vulnerability, and lightning damage, as well as damage to crowd-controlled enemies. Next up, you have Earthern Devastation. Your Earth skills deal 30% increased damage to enemies afflicted by crowd control, and the Paragon board increases your damage heavily to crowd-controlled enemies, as well as your Earth damage overall. After that, you have Survival Instincts. While in Werebear form, you deal 1% increased damage up to 50% for every 1% difference in current life percent between you and the enemy. This Paragon board is all about increasing your damage in Werebear form, as well as heavily increasing your survivability while fortified and healthy to make use of this passive as much as possible. Next up, we have Lust for Carnage. Critical strikes with werewolf skills restore 2 spirit. This board focuses primarily on werewolf skill damage, as well as attack speed and damage overall for the werewolf form. The legendary effect itself seems very, very weak, and in my opinion, definitely needs a rework. After that, we have Heightened Malice. While there are 3 or more poisoned enemies nearby, you deal 45% increased damage. This Paragon board's focus is all about increasing the damage you deal to poisoned enemies, as well as reducing the damage they deal to you. Next up, we have Inner Beast. After shapeshifting, your spirit costs are reduced by 10% for 5 seconds, up to 30%. This board is all about hybrid damage, whether it increases your shapeshifted damage or regular skills and survivability overall in general. After that, we have Constricting Tendrils. On lucky hit, nature magic skills have up to 15% chance to entangle the enemy in vines, immobilizing them for 2 seconds, and poisoning them for 120% of the base damage dealt over 4 seconds. This board is all about nature magic damage increase, as well as damage to crowd-controlled enemies. And lastly, you have Ancestral Guidance. After spending 75 spirit, you deal 30% increased damage for 5 seconds. This board's primary focus is on maximum spirit increase, as well as increasing your core and basic skill damage. If you don't know what uniques are in Diablo 4, it's pretty much going to be like your absolute best in slot gear when it comes to the end game of Diablo 4. So giving you a very drastic boost in power to your character overall, whether it be with a specific build or a hybrid set of builds, it's going to be very, very important in the end game. So now let's dive right into the Druid uniques. First up for the Druid, we have the Axe Waxing Gibbous. Gain stealth for 2 seconds when killing enemies with Shred. And when you break stealth, you are guaranteed a critical strike. This also increases the damage you deal to injured enemies, as well as critical strike damage, and giving you an increase to ranks in Shred, making it very powerful for a werewolf build overall. Next up, you have the Great Staff of the Crone. Claw is now a normal skill and also casts Storm Strike at 125% normal damage, giving you increase to ranks of Claw and bringing you another great werewolf unique. After that, we have the chess piece Mad Wolf's Glee, giving you werewolf form as your true form and gaining +2 ranks to all werewolf skills. This also gives you an increase to physical and poison damage and giving you a massive amount of passive movement speed as well, making this absolutely insane for werewolf players, giving you the ability to be in werewolf form permanently if you need to. Next up, we have the Insatiable Fury chess piece, which gives you Werebear as your true form and gaining +2 ranks to all Werebear skills. This also increases your physical and overpower damage, as well as increasing the armor and damage reduction while fortified, making it crucial for Werebear players if you want to play that route. After that, we have the Helmet Tempest Roar. Lucky hit, storm skills have a chance to grant spirit. This also increases maximum spirit and gives you life on kills also, and generally really being good for a werewolf or a storm druid build. Next up, we have the Helmet Vasily's Prayer. Your art skills are now also Werebear skills and fortify you scaling with your power level, giving you another great piece for your Werebear build as well. After that, we have the Pants Storm Companion, which makes your wolf companions infused with power of the storm, dealing lightning damage and gaining the Storm Howl ability. This increases your companion's skill damage and movement speed, and also gives you ranks to your wolf's ability, making it amazing if you're running a companion build. And lastly, we have the Ring Hunter's Zenith, where you gain a bonus when you kill with a shapeshifting skill. With a werewolf skill that you kill them with, your next non-ultimate werebear skill costs no resource and has no cooldown. When you kill with a werebear skill, your next werewolf skill will heal you when damage is first applied, making it a great choice if you're running a werebear-werewolf hybrid shapeshifter build. To wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen, if you love a class with huge versatility and incredible class fantasy, I mean, there would be no better option than the Druid at this point. I mean, you're running around there as a caster DPS or a werebear or a werewolf. It is so fluid and just so much fun. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we are also doing a giveaway for a free copy of Diablo 4, which we will announce near the end of May, right before launch. So if you guys are interested, please be sure to check the link in the bio to see how you can earn a free copy for yourself. And we also have an official Comeback Kids Diablo 4 Discord server with almost 1,000 people in there talking and chatting every single day about Diablo. So if you want to join a fun, happy, and positive community for Diablo 4, be sure to click the link in the bio as well. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. It's an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all. Until the very end, my name is Sky from the Comeback Kids. I will see you all in the next one. Peace!